Idaho Matters podcast is brought to you by St. Luke's On-Demand Virtual Care, which allows patients to see a provider from their home using a computer or smartphone with on-demand care for common ailments such as a cough, sore throat, or a sinus issue. More information at stlukesonline.org.
Look, we know budget meetings can be dull, but that's exactly what this year's Idaho legislative session has been all about. We break down the latest budget moves, plus all of the week's news from the State House on our Legislative Roundup newsletter. Kick off your Monday with our recap by subscribing at boisestatepublicradio.org.
More Idaho Matters now from the studios of Boise State Public Radio News. I'm Gemma Gaudet. Slow down, step into nature, give yourself time to breathe. These are the catchphrases from the new Horticultural Therapy Community Days at the Idaho Botanical Garden, and they sum up the program nicely. Now, this kind of therapy uses everyday gardening and outdoor activities to try to meet a therapeutic goal, whether it's to reduce stress, to find community, or to learn to practice mindfulness. So with us now is Katie Prakash, therapeutic horticulture practitioner at the garden. Katie, welcome to the program.
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
So Katie, tell us what horticulture therapy is. I mean, what is it? How does it work?
So you summed it up pretty well. Horticulture therapy at its core is basically understanding someone's emotional, physical, cognitive, social needs, and then creating plant-based activities to meet those needs and goals.
And how does this kind of therapy help people?
Oh, it's so helpful in so many ways. I mean, when you step out into nature, you just feel at ease, you feel relaxed. I feel like no matter who you are and what problem you're struggling with, stepping into nature is a benefit. I mean, being in nature has evidence of lowering cortisol levels, of lowering anxiety and depression, and increasing social connection.
So I want to talk a little bit about some of the classes you're offering, because there's one for expectant moms. So tell us about what happens in this class.
Yeah, so our Mothers and Expecting Mothers Community Event Day is coming up on March 28th. So if you haven't registered, go ahead and go to our website and you can register on our website. We'll start with a mindfulness exercise and kind of talk about our horticulture therapy program as a whole. And then we are going to transfer pigment of violas and pansies onto watercolor cards. And participants will get a chance to write a letter to either their body or their baby on the inside of the card. And as that's going on, I always incorporate guided discussion. And at the end, people will get a chance to kind of talk about their experience.
Okay, so then there's another class for adults and children. So what is going to be happening at that class and kind of what's the goal of it? And is it adults and children together or are there separate classes?
Yeah, it's together. It's a multi-generational class. So parents can bring their child or grandparents could bring their grandchild. And it's going to be a sensory scavenger hunt. So we'll have a couple different scavenger hunts for different ages of children. And so their parent or grandparent co-part will get some time in the garden to spend doing a little sensory scavenger hunt and, just connecting with nature that way.
Okay, so then there's also a class that's specifically for educators. And I know one of the goals of this class is stress relief, which God bless all the teachers out there. I'm sure they can relate to this. So tell us about this class.
Yeah, so with the educators class, I'm really trying to incorporate things that they can bring back to their classroom and use in their own classroom, as well as gain benefit themselves. So I'll be teaching and facilitating a class on nature journaling. So this practice is so beneficial. It's basically bringing a notebook out into nature, writing your observations. You can draw what you see. You can record the weather. It's really up to your desire of what you want to gain from it. But nature journaling is such a fantastic practice. And I think it's so much fun and something that they can hopefully bring back to their classrooms and use within their classrooms.
So if you're just joining us, we're talking with Katie Prakash. She's the therapeutic horticulture practitioner at the Idaho Botanical Garden. And we're talking about the garden's new horticulture therapy community days. Okay, so Katie, I've got to be super honest here. I love nature. I mean, I love being outside, but I'm not the type of person you want around plants because I've never been able to keep one alive. There are literally no living plants in my home, um, because they have had untimely deaths. So, for those of us who actually might get stress around the idea of having to plant something, I mean, are is there a spot for us at these classes?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a full believer that no one has a black thumb. Gardening and horticulture and nature-based therapies is all about the experience and the process, not the outcome. So we're planting plants. And yes, sometimes we kill plants. I've killed many plants in my time, but that's not what it's about. It's about gaining that benefit from the process itself rather than focusing on what the plant may look like in 10 days or 2 months, you know? So it's really about gaining that benefit through the process and having plants be the therapists in a way and facilitating that guided those guided sessions in that way.
So how do folks find out more about the classes? I mean, how do they sign up? And I'm assuming really there's got to be a spot then for anyone, even those of us who might be a little intimidated by this.
Yeah, absolutely. We have so many options for participation, not only our community event days, but we also have ongoing 12-week cohorts for specific populations. We also have open sessions, which are basically open to anyone who wants to experience horticulture therapy. They can sign up and register for an open session. But yeah, they can find more at our Idaho Botanical Garden website under education and programs, and then click horticulture therapy, and it will show our full horticulture therapy programming for this entire year. And yeah, if you're interested in a 12-week cohort, they simply just reach out to me via email. My email's on that website as well.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit more about these cohort programs because, as you said, they're 12 weeks, but you have one, for young people. You have one for adults. I mean, even seniors. And this is my understanding is it's really about building community and finding community. So talk to us about what happens in these 12 weeks.
Yeah, so that's one thing I've noticed at our pilot program last fall. One of the best outcomes was the community connection that the women at the community reentry center got. That was one of their favorite things about the cohort, was getting to know each other and getting that sense of community and increasing their social interaction. But our 12-week cohorts, yeah, we have one for youth and young adults in behavioral health or alternative education programs. We have one for people in recovery or navigating trauma, and then another one for seniors and older adults looking to, build community.
So, your executive director, Erin Anderson, has said of the Idaho Botanical Garden, and I'm quoting, the garden can be a place of healing for everyone. How do you interpret that, Katie? And what would you want people to know in terms of really what, healing processes can happen at the garden and just being one with nature in a way?
Yeah, I mean, we want the garden to feel safe for everyone and anyone who steps into the garden. One way we're achieving that too is by our expansion project. We're building a new therapeutic garden coming hopefully later this year that will be ADA accessible. We're thinking about all the ways in which anyone who steps in the garden can feel independent in this space. So we're really getting down to the nitty-gritty details of the garden and making sure that everyone feels not only safe, but comfortable and independent exploring in the garden.
Well, Katie, I want to thank you so much for taking time to talk with us today and telling us about these really incredible programs that you have going on at the Botanical Garden. We've been speaking with Katie Pukash. She is therapeutic horticulture practitioner at the Idaho Botanical Garden, and we've been talking about their new horticulture therapy community days. We're going to put info on our website, boisestatepublicradio.org. You've been listening to the Idaho Matters podcast from Boise State Public Radio. To stay in touch, you can find quick Idaho daily news every morning when you subscribe to the Connector podcast. Just by listening, you're helping to support public radio right here in Idaho, and I want to say a big thank you for that.